За мен е чест да ви представя човека, който ръководи всички услуги, свързани с съдържанието на UEFA. Има над 25 години опит в тази сфера, бил е в челните редици на някои от най-престижните глобални спортни събития, световни първенства по футбол, стигал е дори до Индийската висша лига. Ако трябва да го опиша с едно изречение, Филип Уилямс е централният нападател в редакционния екип на UEFA. Филип, заповядайте. Hi, sir. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, the floor is yours.
Okay, excellent. I think first and foremost we're going to play a video.
Pesa mucho.
Origi with a chance. Coming onto it now to shoot.
I hope that video gives you a sort of flavour of the rich history of this competition, and it's, of course, its deep connection to fans. This helps us inform how we approach our content going forwards into what is a new era in UEFA Champions League. I'm going to speak specifically about Champions League, and much of what I say will apply to it. But however, this also applies to a lot of the other competitions that we do. A lot of our other club competitions and Euro. Euro is a place where a lot of the ideas that I'm going to share with you today were tested and were very successful. In fact, it was a fantastic Euro all round. Well, having watched that video, you probably go, of course it's the most followed competition in sport. It's got a collaboration of the greatest players, the best teams, and working with the greatest broadcasters in the world to bring it to the fans. For us, it's up to us now to make sense of these numbers, to make sure that these numbers are being used correctly, and also that we are reaching the right people at the right time with these numbers. It's not just for us across the board, let's get as many people watching as we can. We have to have purpose and we have to have sense in what we're doing. So the most followed sport on earth has actually got bigger. It's now a case of every game matters right from the start. Now you probably say every game has always mattered, which is kind of true, but there's so much more jeopardy now with the way that the groups are arranged. And from the start, we've had big teams meeting big teams. For example, tonight we've got Liverpool, Leverkusen, Real Madrid against Milan. And tomorrow, the mighty Aston Villa will be travelling to Brugge. I couldn't leave them out because I think they're on next. As I say, there's jeopardy right to the end. Every goal will make a difference. There'll be the standings. You could go from 8th to 9th, which will make a huge difference. It's exciting and it's full of jeopardy, like I say, right to the end. More clubs, which also means more fans and more people to engage with. While every game matters, for us at UEFA, in the content area, every platform also matters. Particularly, I'd say, working with our broadcasters. There are multiple platforms, but they come together and produce some of the great content that brings the Champions League to life. And it's our job to work with them and work with our own platforms in order to excite, engag. I think that's engag. I think there's been something that's happened there in the formatting. And educate, or anything else that begins with E. I've now lost the pictures at the front. That was good. So excite, yeah. I mean, that job is really done by the content creators on the field, but we've got to bring it out at the right moments. We've got to show people as much as we can the relevant, on-trend messaging and deliver it where fans want it. Engage, that's once we've done that, we hope that engagement will follow. And educate, for us, that's very important, particularly in the first year of this cycle. What we want to do is let everyone know where their team stands, or where all the teams stand at any given time. So that we've started off really, really well in this new format. We want people to keep engaging because they understand it. So therefore, education, engagement, really go hand in hand. Our mission, well, of course it's to raise the bar, otherwise I wouldn't be in a job. I mean, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is get better all the time. And I hear you ask, I'm sure I hear you, how do you do that? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, to start with, we've looked at something that's really difficult to look at and improve upon, and which is brand identity. I mean, most of you can shut your eyes, or can imagine the Champions League, and I think you'll hear the music. I think you'll see the star ball. So it's a really strong brand identity. So how do you elevate that? Well, we've looked at colours. We've looked at ways of making it more appealing to the younger audience. That's not to say that outside of this, in our broadcast platforms, we're still very much that traditional and, let's face it, iconic brand, Champions League, front and centre. One of the other ways that we've sort of started to change things up is we are doing much more photography with the teams. This is something that came out of the Euro, actually. We decided to visit all of the teams and do some fun photography with the players. We wanted to get their personalities. We wanted to get, although Di Maria's personality may be a little bit, I'm not quite sure, but we wanted to get a personality. We'll get a feel of what they're like. Maybe Di Maria's like that all the time. I don't know him personally. But for us, that proved really popular, not only for ourselves and on all our other platforms, but our broadcasters. They really, really consumed this. So it's something we went, okay, at the moment, this is in the last season, what we did, we got our teams to send us their headshots that they would do themselves, which were great, but they were like they are headshots, as if you were playing a Panini sticker album, which again is fantastic, but we wanted to get something a bit richer, and I think this is what we've done. And so we visited every team and shot them ourselves for the first time this year, and we're hoping that broadcasters will be using them across all of their different formats and platforms. We've also created much more behind-the-scenes video, but that's something that we've started to do in the last few years. What we've done, we have a weekly magazine show across this and across our other club competition, Europa and Conference League. So that gives us the opportunity to get out there and coordinate with the clubs and find time to shoot with them. But we were going there, doing 2 sit-down interviews. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, we know you want to win on Tuesday. We know it's a massive game. And we know the opposition are very good. Okay, so what can we do? So what we've tried to do is bring out the personality of the players. We've tried to get them to engage with each other a lot more. And we've tried to then also, we found that if we shoot it on the phones in vertical, for some reason we get a better response from the players than putting a big camera in front of them. I mean, it often works the other way as well, but we really do find some good responses and some fun clips.
The one who's the most famous person, your contacts?
Ruben Diaz.
I had to listen to that 3 or 4 times, and English is my first language, although some of you listening to me may argue against that. English, yeah. What he said was, who's the most famous person at the club? The first person he saw in his island was Ruben Neves. There's other bits of fun and games all around. There's lots of interaction with the players, and there's a real, if we've shot a lot in clubs now, where you feel a real strong bond and camaraderie between the players. It's almost irrelevant what they're saying. It's the moment they get together and they hug that really gets engaged with by our fans. Generally, enhanced vertical production has been something we've looked at within Champions League. It's something that, going back to the Euro, we really tried in a big way. And our broadcasters consumed it like nothing before. Now, if you look at that picture, the key part of that picture isn't Vinicius lifting the trophy, great picture though it is. It's young Luke, about 1.5 feet behind Vinicius, filming it on his phone. That shows we can get right there, because that's one of our advantages as a organisation that runs these competitions. We can get to places, we can provide behind-the-scenes content, we can provide immersive content that you can't get anywhere else. And that is really our USP, and it's something we've sort of appreciated, and we've really tried to push and really tried to make sure that we're there at the right moments. Now, what we don't want is to be at the right moment at the wrong time. And what I mean about that is that if we stand too close, say, for example, to a TV camera, the player scores, and as I say, young players particularly, they relate more to a phone than they would do a large camera, which is fantastic if you're at a shoot at the club. But when he scored and he starts running and he runs past the camera where you'd get a fantastic shot like that to a little phone, sometimes the directors that work for the broadcasters are, shall we say, less than pleased. So we have to make sure that we're careful, we're not getting in the way of the real big broadcasters, and that's what really matters. So we want to enhance the broadcasters, we don't want to compete with them. That's really, really important for us. But more and more pitch-side fan stuff with vertical has been a really important thing. And actually, we've been able to do that basically because technology has caught up and enabled us to do so. Again, football, doubling photo output. We've always been big on photos, but they've been taking the time to distribute. We've put them on a specific platform. So occasionally, it will take a while to sift through them and get them. So what we've decided to do is we've worked with a couple of companies to create a platform that is bespoke to us, that broadcasters, clubs, and various stakeholders like sponsors can get easy access to and be able to take things almost as soon as they're created. And in that, I'm talking about content sharing platforms. Now, content sharing platform, you might say, oh, what's new about that? For us, we have had a content sharing platform for some time, but it was more broadcast focused. It was very hard to upload to, it would take a long time, and actually, once it wasn't an easily intuitive thing that you could just access on your phone, which is what we have now. Initially, we worked with a company called Greenfly. They were excellent. Due to a very stringent kind of tender process, we now work with a company called Scoreplay, who are also excellent. In fact, they've offered us some enhanced features. This is the last time I'm going to say these two letters, but they offered us some AI tagging. And for us, that's been great, especially for our sponsors, who can then identify when they're being they're front and center. It's great to find players, it's great to find incidents, it's great to find types of goals, which is really interesting for us. It's very much like digital in its sort of concept, so it's not really a broadcast-ready tool, but our broadcasters really, really, really do use it across all their other platforms in order to promote what they're doing. Again, player storytelling. Okay, well, influencers are brilliant. Everyone loves influencers. You know, they get great numbers. They really are relevant to the markets they work in. But there's some fantastic influencers, but very few are global stars. There's not that global reach you have from one person. Whereas with footballers, they are. You know, you look at someone like Lamine Yamal, you look at someone like Jude Bellingham, Haaland, although Haaland, probably a bad example, he just does his job, goes home and goes and does his job again extremely well. But these guys, they're kind of, for us, our version of the influencers. We need to get more into their stories, more into their storytelling, more emotional content. We've done some really good stuff with Rico Lewis, for example, at Manchester City, with his father, which was really emotional, and that worked for us, not only as in terms of our magazine show content, but it also really, really sort of had a life on social media as well. Fonso Davis and his journey to becoming a footballer as a refugee, going to Canada, which was, again, very, very emotional for us. So these kind of things are what we're looking at. We want to know about the players. We don't want to know the player as a shell in a club who says, we want to win. Of course you want to win. The opposition's good. Of course the opposition's good. You're playing in the Champions League. So all the rest of this stuff is really what our fans really crave and really want. Now, there is a place for the other stuff, the editorial stuff, sure. And in fact, there's an obligation for us to present editorial-focused content as well for our broadcasters. But it really is finding a balance now, and I think that's what we've been doing to try and work to find a balance so that it's not tipping too heavily one way or the other. But for us, you know, finding out what these players are like is really important, and it's what our fans want as well. For us, another note that's really helped us personally, it's not really great for our broadcasters, but I feel that it's a kind of testament to how well we work together, is we're able to take some of our embargoes away so that we're able to show, for example, 2-minute highlights very quickly after the games have finished. These highlights have proved quite useful in certain territories as well. For example, in Japan, a few years ago, we didn't have a media rights deal for Champions League. You know, it's kind of it's just a time difference issue, I guess. But whatever happened, we started putting out the games live on our UEFA TV. But to complement it, we showed lots and lots of highlights. And we found that a lot of people were getting up in the morning and quickly on the way to work watching these short highlights of Champions League. It grew and grew, the numbers got really good, and ultimately we got a media rights deal out of it. So one can definitely inform and help the other. I'm not saying it was purely because of that the media rights deal happened, but for us it definitely was a factor. I hope I haven't clicked twice now because I just clicked when it didn't happen. No. So this is a conference called Digital Trends. So I don't want to go through platform 101 with you guys because you'll be going, oh, I know all this stuff already. I know what you do with different platforms. So I'm just going to quickly tell you what our priorities as an organisation are from platform to platform. So the app, that's really important to us. It lets us know what our fans are like. It lets us know our fans' preferences. It's something that we really work hard to get that engagement there. You know, we use short form video, and during the Euro, we actually pulled some longer form video into that, which we did a series of programs with Rio Ferdinand, which were kind of, some were archive-based programmings where we had legends of Euro speaking, watching games with Rio and talking about their experiences in the game, which was really fascinating. We also had a kind of podcast-style program which Rio led, which we had lots of top players, legend players. We also had Ryan Reynolds on there at one point, and we were lucky enough to have our president who did a really excellent show. So that was really good, and that was promoted quite heavily for people to watch it on our app, and we got some pretty good numbers right there. For the website, you know, it's SEO. It should be a reasonably easy job for us, considering we have all of the naming. But you know, it's something that we want to be first there for the fans. We want to be that destination. That's where a lot of the time we want information, fixtures, standings, etc., etc. We want people also to come there and look at a lot of our archive content, which is very there's much archive content there as well. Now TikTok, I'd be a bit of a fraud if I started going on and on about TikTok. I've got to be honest. I went to the TikTok offices in London maybe 3 years ago, so I was even younger than I am now, but I was still old. So I went there, and I must have been the oldest person who was in that office that decade. Easily. They were looking at me like almost pitifully. I think they gave me a chair as soon as I walked in. Would you like to sit down, sir? Yeah, I said, great. But what it tells you is it's a destination for our young fans. And this is where a lot of our as we say, on-trend video. Listen, I'm not even going to go into any more depth than that. I'm standing here in a jumper and a shirt, and I'm not going to talk about on-trend video. However, it's very important to us to engage with our younger fans on it. They worked really well as a partner with us during Euro as well, and they are actually one of the best platforms in their being proactive in telling us what they think will work. Now, obviously, it's good reason why they'd be proactive. You know, if you've got Champions League living the sort of life it does on TikTok, you would be. But surprisingly, they are one of the more proactive of our partners. Instagram, something I understand a little bit better. But yeah, for us, that is a place where we can drive people as well. We do a lot of promotion on Instagram for a lot of our other stuff. As you can see there, we got the Zlatan president video on there as well, which is like a wonderful piece of work that explained what the new cycle was all about. I recommend you watch that if you haven't. Yeah, a lot of it is about brand visibility there, and also, like say, referrals. We do a lot of referrals to different bits of content that we're quite happy with showing people. Facebook, again, much more my territory, but to be honest, this is really interesting because this is where we reach out to people in a non-English environment, and we also push Reels quite heavily on that as well. Okay, press the button, I'll press it again. Quite likes Facebook, I think, this thing. It doesn't really want to go anywhere. Can we have the next slide? I can't remember what it is. As I pointed out, I'm quite old, so my memory's... X. The artist formerly known as Twitter. It's where you can get a lot of engagement. It's also where you can get into a lot of trouble if you're not careful. So that's something we do, and we heavily moderate, and it's something that we obviously value in terms of the amount of people that are on it. We also use, WhatsApp isn't really it's been a real good tool that we've pulled in. It's not really a sort of by the by. We use it a lot to reach our targeted audiences, and it's been really good. YouTube, again, it's probably not it's probably a bigger than a kind of buy to buy, as I've got it in their category. We did a lot of good work in the Euro on YouTube, in fact, and we found some really exciting growth on there. And obviously Threads, we keep trying, we keep posting, we keep testing on Threads. Right, now it went twice that time, so I'm going to go back. Right. So all these numbers, again, I hear you scream, but what are you doing with them? I'm like, yeah, well, firstly, I'd like everyone to settle down, and then I'll answer the question. We support our stakeholders. We use these numbers, particularly useful for our sponsors. We do a lot of sole and exclusive work with them now, and I think they understand that we've got a good handle on what we can reach out there with. So they come to us for what is now called a content creation service. We use, rather than go through an agency, they come directly to us, and we do quite a lot of work with them that goes straight out on our platforms, because we have a reasonably good idea of what works where. Although listening to me for the last 20 minutes, you probably doubt that. However, it is something that what's important for us is that we want the partners, we want the stakeholders to engage with us, but we don't want our platforms to be one long advertisement. So you have to really find the balance of what you're doing, and that's something I think that authentic messaging, it says it up there, I'm just going to read it. Authentic messaging for a football audience, very important to us. Very, very important. Sort of speaks to what I've just said. We also create templates for our partners, and a lot more vertical content as well, because they've really appreciated that. We did quite a lot of vertical content for our partners during Euro. We had some travelogue shows, and we and in fact the Rio show was complemented an awful lot with vertical content. So and we feel that was a really successful and intuitive way of doing things. So, okay, so there's a lot of mores on there, isn't there? But actually, I think the message for us is it's not just about more. It's about being clever, being intuitive about the more that you've got and how you use it. But it's fair to say I'm more excited about the Champions League this year than even I was last year, which is a plus. And I think there'll be more teams that are really excited about it. And I've got more people asking me for tickets, which is probably good, but a little bit inconvenient for me personally. But I'm not really asking you to care about that. Okay, well, look, I'm just going to say thank you very much. I hope that you've got something out of it. And I also hope that you didn't have to use Google Translate all the way through. But yeah, thank you very much, and take care, everybody.